What are your money blocks? How do they show up? Your money blocks really aren't about money fundamentally, but things like money. I love working with money manifestation consciously, because it shows up everything. It shows up your immense gifts and purpose, and it also highlights your shadow wounding, where you're blocking yourself from receiving, where you're staying in separation between yourself and life, where you're shut off, where you're in shadow, where you're in shame, where you're in hiding. And so the result of transforming all that is being open to receive money and all of life. Money is just a part of it, where you don't separate yourself. You don't have to reject any part of life. You can open up to receive. So it's very, very deep work. The reason why I do it is, yes, money is important for you to feel supported, for you to be able to do things, for you to make a difference, because we still exchange with money at this time on this planet. But for the deeper purpose, it's used as an activator and a great, powerful transformer. So you'll notice some of these money blocks already, right? I've been getting messages, I've been reading, I've been hearing what's been going on as you've been connecting to your wealth frequency, as you've been connecting to your higher self. And particularly, I don't know if you noticed, but Feminine Power Day, the Women's Wisdom Day, was particularly intense for some people, where there was a real contraction. So when we hit up against our money blocks, a whole lot of things can happen, but one of them is kind of contraction or freezing or a sense of feeling stuck. It can trigger old trauma as well. So there's sort of a frozen. It can, trigger this sort of fight or flight, right? Going into sort of fear, anxiety, or kind of overworking, overdoing, struggling for survival, overworking. There's so many ways that money blocks show up. So I'd like you to have a think about, and part of your home play will be really having a deeper dive in how some of your money blocks show up for you. And it's a journey of exploration. And with money blocks, it's really like a sort of a pyramid of consciousness, or an iceberg of consciousness, if you will. So at the first kind of awareness of money blocks will be on the level of the mind, how you're thinking, right? Your thoughts. What are you thinking or believing around money? Maybe there's not enough of it, or maybe money is bad. For me, when I first started playing with money, when I was guided to start welcoming in money, because I completely had rejected it, it was not spiritual, right? Was money is the root of all evil. It's greedy, it's bad. I had a lot of money programming to move through. So that's on the level of the mind. And then the next level down would be on an emotional level. And these are the things that we're a bit more consciously aware of. So how do you feel? Maybe there's shame, maybe there's fear, right? For example, so we want to look at what comes up for you in the face of welcoming in money, right? When your wealth queen or king told you how much money she wants you to welcome in, what's aligned with your wealth frequency, what came up for you? This is where we'll identify the money blocks. When she told you it was 1 million or 100,000 rather than your comfort zone of 5,000, for example, what came up for you, right? This is what we want to highlight. And this is why I love playing with the wealth frequency and welcoming in those large amounts of money. It's not even really about whether that money lands in your bank account right now. It's about really looking at identifying what's stopping you or blocking you from even saying yes to it, right? What does it bring up for you? So this will be highlighting on the mental level and emotional level. But most importantly, so if we imagine an iceberg or in this pyramid, there's a part of the iceberg that's above the water that we can see. And that's what I would say is the mind and emotions. And then there's the part of the iceberg that's underwater, and that's most of it, right? So this is where we go into the unconscious parts of the self, the shadow, the wounding, the trauma that's hidden and buried. And it's been hidden and buried because it's been too painful to perhaps feel, or it's been hidden, it hasn't been accessible for whatever reason. And part of our journeys as deep divers, conscious leaders, is to go in and meet some of these shadow aspects. Not comfortable, but very, very powerful. So one thing I would like to make sure, like, you really almost write down is your abundance lies in the shadows of shame. Your abundance lies in the shadows, right? This is where the gold is. We want to go and go and find that buried treasure, that gold. So if we're mining for gold, it's deep in the ground. And your abundance is deep in the ground, deep in your unconscious and deep in the body, right? It's buried treasure. So I want you to imagine that this abundance or the money or the wealth that you want, or that your wealth frequency, your higher self is calling you into, because your higher self, by the way, as you get more and more comfortable, you're going to realize your higher self is not going to tell you not to have money. It's not going to tell you to be poor and in lack and in scarcity, but it's going to guide you into a really beautiful, healthy relationship when it comes to money. A beautiful, from a place of enoughness. What you're going to be guided to release is the scarcity and lack and not enough that's aligned, that's playing out in that relationship. So we want to be courageous deep divers. So some of your money blocks right now are in the unconscious, right? And part of this journey as we dive in is go, oh my gosh, look at all of this. Look at all of this. So sometimes it's lying in trauma, where there's sort of a frozen aspect of the self or wounding. Sometimes it's hidden in this ancestral trauma, ancestral patterning, where basically it was, that's not allowed. For example, a woman being empowered sexually was not allowed, right? All the hurt and harm that's been done to women around her sexuality and her body. I mean, it's been very, 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 very damaging. For example, so women, I mean, there's all sorts of stuff that happens with women and her sexuality, but one would be to hide it, clamp it down, lock it away, right? So that's an example. That's one example. Or maybe when you were a child, you were fully expressed and you said what you thought and you got, shamed, right? Or you got punished, right? So then you learn as a child to lock some aspects of yourself away, bury it down. So this is some of the examples that can come often from early childhood, those developmental years, but also from ancestral patterns and programs and wounding, and also within the society that we're raised in, the culture that we're raised in, or perhaps a religion that you've been raised in, right? There's a lot of programming to be undone. So just take a deep breath. It's all okay, right? There's no rush. Remember, it's some of that guidance from the higher self. There's no rush. Right? We're just going to keep meeting ourselves, meeting yourself one step at a time, one day at a time. This isn't trying to get rid of it all now. You probably can't. We can do it. We're going to do a powerful activation where you'll be kind of set free. But you'll notice with money blocks and abundance blocks, they come back. They're essentially trying to protect you, but they're not really helping you anymore. That which protected you at a time is now actually hindering you. So it's these neuro pathways, reactions that happen through your nervous system and your body and your energy system, that we really need to consciously work with, because that's really stopping you from being able to step into this next level. So when we're talking about transforming money blocks, it's multi-layered and multi-leveled, but one is like reprogramming of your neural pathways, really shifting your nervous system from a place that's sort of fight or flight into I'm safe, I'm secure, I'm held, I'm loved, I'm supported, where you're actually feeling relaxed and safe, because a lot of those reactions that happen aren't actually true now. They feel so real, right? When we go into fight or flight or a trauma trigger, it feels so real, but it's actually not necessarily real now. So what is a perceived threat really isn't. And in fact, what's fascinating to me is actually when you get closer and closer to receiving, or you're on the brink of a transformation, right? When you're actually about to make change, guess what happens often is these money blocks, they get stronger. And, some of you know this, it's happening right now. So it's like your shit comes up, basically. It's very strong. So please know that if it's particularly strong, there's often a sign, not always, but often a sign that you're on the brink of a breakthrough. Oh. And for me, sometimes I see these as like death and rebirth cycles that are happening all the time. Sometimes in my life, when I'm actually trying to move into what I'm being guided into, I literally have felt like I'm dying. Because in a sense, a part of me was dying, right? There's old self, these old programs are dying, but that can be so confronting because our whole being is designed to sort of stay alive and fight for survival. So what we need to do is do the inner work to really make sure that we're fighting for the right thing, that we're not fighting to keep an old program alive. And this requires a lot of care, and it requires time, and it requires safety, and it requires support. It requires holding. Some of these blocks you're not going to be able to move through on your own. Some of them are too deep. You get too blinded by them. It's like being lost in the, can't see the wood for the trees, is that saying. It's like being blind in the dark. So it's really important to know that there are some things that you really need hand-holding with, and it's not a weakness. It's not a weakness. It's just we have blind spots to ourselves. I have blind spots to myself as well. I get a lot of support. I get a lot of support now. I didn't used to. I do now. So breathe in, breathe in, breathe in, breathe in. So with these money blocks, I've said this before, and I will say it again, that pain is a portal. Pain is a pathway. And when we have the courage to dive in and meet these aspects of the self, doors can open. So going in and diving in is often a pathway and a portal to opening up to the new world. And I say the new world, it's not a new world really, but it's a new experience of reality. So it can feel like stepping into a new world. Sometimes on my journey, it feels like moving to a new country or actually moving to a new planet. Like it's like a completely different version of reality from what I thought was possible. So just know that we are kind of birthing in the new here, literal birth. So if you imagine how a baby is born, it gets pushed down through the body, right? And it's not a comfortable process being squeezed through the birth canal, which is a very important part of the birth process as well. So we embrace the contractions, right? We breathe through them and trust in the body's intelligence that it knows how to birth you. It knows how to birth you. So we breathe in, we dive in. Again, this is why I call on the courageous heart-led leaders, because it does take courage to keep breathing and going in. Breathing and going in. Okay. Beautiful. So you want to lean in and get curious. So when you come up against one of your money blocks, right, the limiting thoughts, the limiting beliefs, basically anything that feels negative to you is an abundance block. Not to say that we're always going to stay positive, not at all. But if you're in any kind of scarcity or not enough or fear or lack mentality, that is not your higher self talking. That is not your wealth frequency talking. That is your old programming talking. So what's really important is you need to start identifying who's talking, right? And so we want to get curious. And really, I've learned to hold these parts of the self with the deepest love and care, because we can't force, if you try and force change on these parts of yourself, they'll grip even stronger. So get curious, right? Create some space around it. Some of this stuff is going to take time because it's deep and old, and you need to feel very, very, very safe. Okay. So just know, I imagine, I remember when my daughter was little and she'd have these like sit down, they used to call them sit down protests, where she just refused to walk and refused to move. And she's at the point where she was too big to carry really. And so I just have to sit there with her. And and it's sometimes like that with these abundance blocks or these money blocks, where it's like, child having a sit down protest, refusing to move, digging their heels in. And we have to work with them, right? Work with them to get moving again. So that's one I like to remember in these moments. Okay, super duper. So I'm going to take you through an activation, a process to give you, again, a real life experience of this. There are many ways to release money blocks. There are many ways. I'm going to take you through an activation that I'm guided to do with you today. We're going to play with money as a sort of a focus point. Remember, this isn't really just about money alone. This is about you connecting to your heart, connecting to your purpose, connecting to your inner wisdom, all the things we've done day 1, 2, and 3, right? Getting super embodied as well, because your money blocks stop you from being embodied and fully showing up here. They keep you silent, they keep you stuck, they keep you frustrated, they keep you in overworking, overgiving, right? Burning out, all the negative experiences that you have in life. So we really want to keep working with them. And no, it's a journey. Maybe it's a lifelong journey as well. But what I've learned, I've been working with money consciously, specifically for 10 years. There's always more to work with. But what I was working with in the beginning is very different to what I'm working with now. Sometimes those old wounds, especially when they're trauma wounds that came from a very young age, they can revisit. I know a lot of you will know this because a lot of you have done a huge amount of self-development work already. It's like the same wound, it comes back, maybe in a different way, but it's still there. So there will be evolution, there will be change. Your financial reality will shift and change over time, but it doesn't mean suddenly you don't have anything more to work with. So I just want you to know, get used to this process. It's an ongoing process as you meet yourself, and it's sometimes each and every day. Okay, so we're going to release this whole kind of perfection or getting there, or there's some end point. No, we're breathing and being with where we are right now. If we imagine nature, it's always growing, it's always moving, it's always changing, and so are we. We're not static, we're not stagnant. And actually, if we get stagnant, our energy gets really low and we feel really flat and we feel down and low. So to feel really, truly alive, this is about coming alive, doing this work, really coming alive. And that also means feeling on every level, the pleasure and the pain. So we embrace the feeling. Your body is like this immense feeling, like sensation, pleasure temple, but it also feels pain, right? So we need to really listen to support the body to thrive in more pleasure, more ease, more flow. Okay, and we're doing our best. We're doing our best with where we are and what we've got. Okay, thank you. Take a deep breath in. And get yourself nice and comfortable. You can sit up or lie down. Again, if you lie down, you may drift off, and that's absolutely fine. If you want to stay more conscious, you might want to sit up. Beautiful. Okay, have a sip of water. Okay. So breathing back into your body, because this is where it is. Everything you want, everything you're calling in starts within, right? It's not that you're going to build it all on your own, but we come home, right? The mind keeps us searching. That wound of separation keeps us searching and looking outside of ourselves. So really you're coming home, coming back and sitting. How much can you sit in your body? How much can you be with yourself? Breathing in. The level that you can receive yourself and hold yourself and feel safe in life is equal to how much you can receive from life, money included. Money is not everyone's struggle. Some people are fine with money, but it might be love, it might be health, it might be relationships, it might be home. There's different challenges for different people depending on your life's journey. So I call them money blocks, but really it's about connection with yourself and life, a relationship between yourself and all of life, and feeling safe, secure in life, in your body. So we're breathing all of that in. We're retraining, reprogramming yourself to feel safe, secure, supported, and to start welcoming and calling in that safety and security and support so that you can rise with greater strength, with greater confidence, with greater courage. So money blocks, it's throughout the body, but generally I feel them around the sacral area, the sacral chakra, those lower centers, your pelvic floor, in the sexual organs, hips. So breathing down into this part of your body, breathing down into this part of your belly, welcoming yourself here. So I want to call back on that wealth frequency, that wealth queen, reminding you of what she told you, how much money is aligned with your wealth frequency. So you can play with that larger, more abundant amount of money, or you can play with the amount that you would really like, that you would feel absolutely fine with. Both are fine, because actually that amount that you're okay with is really on a practical level really great, and that would be wonderful as well. The wealth frequency holds a space for you to expand into greater possibilities, but for some people that feels really good, and for some people it's too confronting. So you just need to listen to what you can play with today. I love playing with the bigger, more expansive amounts. It feels better to me, but listen to what feels better to you. Maybe it feels better when it's just more grounded, more practical, more in the world. Okay. more that your mind can kind of see that's possible. So you choose what amount of money you're going to play with today. And find that amount. I want you to get specific, because some heart-centered people find it quite hard to be money specific. So I'm going to challenge you to choose a number. We want to ground it. And remember, it's just for the exercise of releasing. We don't need to get stuck on detail. What's an amount of money that would make you feel relaxed when it comes to money? Spacious. There's room for movement and experiences and exploration, celebration and contribution, right? Or you can feel that generosity of spirit, right? To be able to give back. Breathe that in. Breathe that in. Because you're here to contribute. You're here to have an amazing life for yourself and your family and your friends and community, but it's bigger than that. It's bigger than that. That's partly why your wealth frequency is calling you into larger amounts of numbers. It's not necessarily just for you. It's for what you're here to do through the vehicle of your business. When I got that, that made sense to me. I'm like, okay, then I can welcome in multi-millions, knowing it's not just for me. It's about the impact. So breathe and listen, and let's play. So find that number and let's welcome it in. So we're going to invite you, because with money manifestation, again, inner transformation for outer change, it's time to embody this amount of money. So your brain may not understand what I'm saying. Your body will. Your higher self will. Your wealth frequency will. So I'm going to ask you to become the vibrational frequency of this amount of money now. Who or what do you need to become to welcome in this amount of money now? What energy, space, and consciousness do you need to become to welcome in this amount of money now? And breathe into your body. Breathe into your body. It's a vibration. It's an embodiment. You are not separate from this amount of money. Your brain's not going to understand this. Your body gets it. So breathe it in. Who or what do you need to become to allow this, for this money to land in and to become your reality? So breathe. You may want to meditate with these questions. You may want to journal with these questions. And you may want to spend more time with these questions. For now, we're just going to ask that every single cell in your body wake up to this wealth frequency embodied. We're waking this up through every cell in your body. We're waking up the dormant parts of yourself that have been hidden, shut away, shamed, hurt, harmed. Waking it up. So who or what do you need to become to embody this amount of money, to become this amount of money, in order for it to land in to your bank account, embodied, grounded? We are reclaiming these parts of you, breathing in. So curious about these parts of you. Welcoming her. Welcoming her. So beautiful one. We've met this, and part of you might be like, oh my gosh. So immediately, right? The fear can come up, or the contraction can come up. So I want to ask, what is stopping you or blocking you? What is stopping you or blocking you from welcoming in this amount of money now? What are the thoughts? What are the beliefs? What are the emotions that are stopping you or blocking you from embodying this amount of money, becoming this amount of money? And be with the feeling. Let's meet it with love and curiosity, creating safety for you to meet these parts of you. They're often can feel very vulnerable. Breathing in, breathing in. So what is stopping you or blocking you from welcoming in this amount of money now? And we need to go and sit with this part of you, to hold this part of you, to love this part of you, to meet this part of you. And you may not know how to do that yet. So this is going to be a journey, right? So you may want to meditate on these questions or write them down, spend a bit longer in your own time. breathing in. So now what we want to do is really welcome these parts of you as well, the wounded, the hurting, the scared, the powerful. This part of you may feel very unlovable, very dark, very scary as well, or so vulnerable and sensitive, or both. So we need to learn, for you to welcome in this money into your life, you need to learn how to love, how to hold, how to meet, how to nurture, how to be with this part of you. You need to learn how to love, how to hold, how to nurture, how to meet, how to be with this part of you. Just like we've been with the wealth frequency, just like we've been with your higher self, your feminine power, we also need to be with these money blocks and learn to love them, to get curious, to pay attention to. Eventually in time, you're going to learn how to really embody this as well. And this is, you will find a lot of your hidden gold in here. So yes, the wealth frequency, and yes, your higher self is very important, but this in some ways is the most important. It's the shadow work. It's the shadow work. So a lot of you are very experienced with shadow work, which is great, but it's diving in deep and being willing to face it and meet it. It's our nature is to not go there, right? To avoid. So sometimes the money blocks, it won't be clear what's going on. It will show up in all sorts of surface level stuff, like resistance, hiding, fear, avoidance, overeating, comforting yourself with alcohol, drugs, whatever it is, too much TV, unhealthy habits and behaviors. That's really avoiding feeling this part of you. So we're breathing in and holding and meeting, getting curious. You're going to need to spend some more time with this part of yourself. And again, this is the part that sometimes can feel, it's very hard. It's sometimes, depending on what it is, to love this part. So it's going to be a bit of a journey. But what I want you to take away is this is where you need to go. This is where you need to go to welcome in what you want from the outside world. It doesn't make sense with the mind. To be really embodied, really connected, really grounded, really rooted in alignment, in authenticity. Breathing that in. The brain's like, what? The mind's like, I don't get it. Because there's a disconnection from the mind to this part. And this is what, as heart-aligned leaders, we need to come back into connection. Mind, heart, womb, belly. So there's a connection from the perineum all the way through the body up into the crown. So we're not going to go into more of that right now. So breathe in. We're going to hold and meet your beautiful, beautiful aspects of the self that are blocking you or stopping you. We're going to hold it with love. And I'm going to ask now, just simply, what if it could be as simple as, I'm going to give in your body permission to release. I am ready to release and let go of everything and anything that's stopping me or blocking me from welcoming in this amount of money now. I'm ready to let go and release of everything and anything that's stopping me or blocking me from welcoming in this amount of money now. And we just hold the intention and we hand it down to the earth, right? For that transformation, turning shit into manure, releasing it through. We lovingly let it go. Like, this is not my truth. This is an old story. And we honor our ancestors. We honor the wound and pains and trauma of those that have come before us and that which you have experienced. And we also, with love, we want to put it in the ground. We're like, oh my gosh, we're going to put you to bed now. We're going to lay you to rest so that we can transform and evolve beyond trauma that keeps being handed down from generation after generation after generation. We're reclaiming ourselves and coming back into connection now, coming back into our truth. Enough is enough. We need women finding their no and finding their yes, right? So we release and let go, having the courage to feel, having the courage to let go. and having the courage to open up, to receive, opening up into the great unknown, right? Your heart knows it, your body knows it, the mind doesn't know it yet. So this is why I call it heart-led leadership. We want to get that mind connected to the heart, right? Connected to that womb wisdom, or that gut knowing deep in the body. So breathing in, releasing with the exhale. Thank you, making a little bit more space to receive, coming back into who or what do I need to become, embodying that wealth frequency, embodying that amount of money, saying yes. We want to take it right down into the belly, right down into the perineum, right down into the hips. So I'm sort of wiggling my hips a little bit. So this is where sometimes movement's really nice to get into the body, right? Rolling of the hips, perhaps, dropping in, reclaiming those parts that you've created separation from. Super. Breathe, breathe, breathe. Receiving with the inhale, receiving that money with the inhale, releasing the old with the exhale, opening up to receive that amount of money. You're open to receive it, letting it in. You're receiving these parts of yourself, breathing it into the body, and releasing those blocks and barriers to you really embodying your truth and welcoming that money into your life, into your body, your business, your bank account. Breathe in and release. So we keep doing this work. We keep doing this practice. We keep creating space for the new, right? Space for birth, expanding, receiving, releasing. And we do this by relaxing. The more you can relax, the easier this work is. So often inner guidance is about women nurturing themselves, self-care, taking time for yourself, time in nature, time for rest. So this overworking, this whole kind of how we're supposed to work system, that wasn't created from women's wisdom, right? That was created from these patriarchal systems. So we need to come back and reclaim what is our truth. Your body will guide you home. Your higher self will guide you home. Your wealth frequency will guide you home. Your feminine power, women's wisdom will guide you home. And your money blocks will guide you home if you're willing to listen to them, be with them, love them, get curious, learn how to love them. The dark shadow, the shadow within. So much gold in there, so much gold, and it requires courage to deep dive. I promise you it's worth it. It's intense, but it's worth it. So breathe in one more time. Release with the exhale. Amazing, amazing. So please know this is an ongoing process. It's an ongoing process. I'm so proud of you for being here and staying with this process together today. Again, many hearts make light work. This is why I was guided to start, working with groups of women. I started seeing visions of women gathering, holding hands, all in circle or walking together. I started seeing women who've, climbed the mountaintop. We were all at the top of the mountain together, this level playing field, no more hierarchy, no more one at the top and others at the bottom, no more following the guru. It's like we are all stepping up into leadership now and reclaiming our place in the world. Yeah, of course, we stay open and vulnerable and humble to learning, right? To being the student. I'm always the student, always the student, always in that childlike exploration, exploring the unknown, as well as, being on this path for 25 years and being highly experienced as well. We can hold both. We can hold it all. We can hold all of these aspects of you. So we are in this together. We are co-creating. We're doing powerful work together in this retreat, whether you can see it or not. We are seed planting. We are shedding. We are letting go of the old. We are opening up new doors. Yet we are courageously diving in and listening. Breathing in once more.